Car ain't running right. I'm at the red light trying to keep this running. Had a motherfucker beside me on a Toyota Camry look at me like I'm a dumbass, thinking I want to race. I ain't trying to race you. I'm trying to keep from cutting off at the red light. I'm trying to look cool. F you. Anyway, back to the cold weather. Yeah, I cranked my car up this morning and that motherfucker said, damn boy, what the f you want?
This is an 89 Mustang GT. It's my buddy Don, right there. And he brought it over, it's not running right, so we're gonna just kind of have a look at it. He says whenever he goes to like a stoplight or something like that, the car wants to stall out, and it's just not running right. So you know what we're gonna do. We're gonna do our base idle reset, we're gonna put the Mr. Fusion on it, and we're gonna go through the process and see if we can get this car back running good again. Whoever did all the work to this car put some go fast parts in it, and that was about as far as they went. And we have all sorts of issues. Now this is not Don's doing, so you know, don't give him a hard time about it. He just picked it up this way, and we're gonna see if we can kind of clean this up a little bit and get the car running a little better. So we don't know what cam's in this car. You don't know, do you? No. So it's probably going to be E303, B303, something like that. Okay. All right, so it's one of those two. He remembers 303, so it's probably a B or an E, more than likely. Car sounds really good. We'll go ahead and start it up for you here in just a second so that you can hear it. The car has obviously an Explorer intake on it, and like I said, B or an E cam. Car has headers. I'm kind of looking as we go here, guys. I don't really know, but the car does have headers on it. They look like BBKs. Don says the car runs really good, but what happened was the idle screw got messed with on this car. And remember, guys, we've talked about this before. You have to be really careful when you're messing with this idle screw, because when you turn the idle screw, you're effectively changing the TPS. So they all kind of work together. So what we're going to do is go through, probably put the Mr. Fusion on it to start with, see if we've got any vacuum leaks, and then from there we will do a base idle reset, including setting the timing and everything else. All right, guys, let's get started. So we're going to go ahead and try to set the timing on the car. So remember, whenever you do this, there's a plug right here that you want to pull out. So you want to take this out before you set your timing and just put it back in whenever you're done.
Running around, robbing banks, all whacked up with stupid snacks.
Good. Just keep it running. I can trust their mark, but it might stay running, but that's it. Okay. All right. Okay, so the timing was pretty high on the car. It looked to be around 14, 15 degrees. And I know a lot of you guys say that's not high, but for some cars, they don't like anything around 14 degrees. It all depends on the quality of your engine. You know, how clean is your engine? Do you have a lot of deposits? Do you have things in your engine that can cause pre-detonation? So a dirty engine can cause pre-detonation. So on these older engines, a lot of times they like less timing. That's just a thought, guys. It's something to think about. Anyway, we're gonna go ahead and work our way through the base idle reset. I just set the timing at around 10 degrees or so. I think that'll be safe, be a good starting point, and then we'll go from there. All right, guys, so we are at 0.93 on the TPS. That should be good enough. So at this point, all we really have to do is make sure that the idle is set correctly and the TPS is not compensated for that. But here's a good example of what I was talking about whenever you adjust your idle screw on these cars. So if you were to turn this screw a little bit, you can see that it changes right here on the TPS. What we're going to do is go ahead, start the car up, and we're going to lower the idle, because after looking at the throttle screw, it looks like the idle is way too high on the car. So we're going to give this a shot. We're going to try to lower the idle We're gonna unplug the idle air control to where the car barely idles on its own, and that's where we're gonna try to leave it. I lower the idle to where the car would, barely run on its own, and then plug the idle air control back up. The idle air control, it did pick the RPMs back up, but I don't think that's going to be enough. So we need to go ahead and do a true base idle reset on the car. Now I'm going to check the TPS again, make sure it's within range, and we'll go from there. All right, so what we're gonna do is disconnect the negative cable on the car for about 15 minutes or so, and then we'll come back and do our base idle reset procedure. And I'll walk you guys, well, I won't walk you guys through it because that's actually, it takes a pretty good while to do, but I do have a video on that, and I'll put a link to it right here for you guys if you would like to see how the base idle procedure is done. All right, guys, we are gonna go ahead and do a smoke test on the car. There again, about a half a pound of air through the system. Now, you will see some smoke come out of the air filter. We're not going to pull all that apart. You just have to expect that. And here we go. Looking good so far. Wow, guys, this is incredible, actually. I don't see any smoke. Okay, so as you can see, this car had no vacuum leaks. That's amazing to me with all of this stuff that's been kind of rigged up under here. No vacuum leaks, so that's really good. Now, I don't know if the vacuum's all routed correctly, but there are no vacuum leaks. That's good. Next up is the base idle reset, and what we're going to do is go ahead and unplug the idle air control, and we're going to pop our cable back on. It's been probably 20 minutes or so now. Put everything back on. Off of it. Okay, so what I did was just go back in and adjust on the idle once again. Now we got the car idling about 650 RPMs. That'll work for what we're doing. I'm gonna go ahead, check the TPS one more time just to make sure that we're good. All right, so what we did there, once we unplugged everything, I could not get it to idle, or he could not get it to idle in there without putting his foot on the throttle. So it just went in, raised the idle up until the car idled somewhere around 650 RPM. And at that point, I just checked the TPS to make sure it was within range, and it is. It's at 0.94, so that's good. Or actually 0.96 is what it was at. So now what we're gonna do is plug the idle air control in. To explain what this is doing, kind of in layman's terms, I guess, what's happening here is you're telling the car what loads to expect. Right now, you have told the car, all right, this is the information I'm going to give you, and you should not expect anything outside of these loads. So the car will basically be listening and watching for these loads to appear, and that's how it learns. So what we're going to do is we're going to start the car up for 2 minutes with no load whatsoever. So that means no AC, no heat. His fan is wired to the ignition switch, but that's no problem because that will always be there. So we're going to leave that. That shouldn't be a problem. And then what we're going to do is cut the car off for 2 minutes, start it back up for 2 minutes, but at this point we're gonna put all the load that we have on the car. And that way the car knows what to expect and can adjust around it. All right guys, we're gonna go ahead and get started. That's fine. What you'll see, don't touch it. What you'll see in about 20 seconds or so is it'll change.
Wow.
To start with, it may be kind of all over the place, but then the computer starts to learn and it adjusts. So typically around 20 seconds or so, you'll feel the car kind of change, RPM wise at least, and that's what it's doing, is learning. Now that's not saying that that will fix all the problems. Sometimes afterwards you still have to tweak a little bit, but for right now, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna go through the whole procedure on the car, see how it runs, and if we need to tweak it, we will. But what I'll do is get back with you guys in a few minutes when we're done. All right guys, as you can see, we now have 2 white Fox bodies in the driveway. Ray is back over. He was gonna give us a little update today. I will probably save that video for a later time. But all right, let's get back to this one. We're gonna go ahead, start this thing up and see what we are working with here. I don't expect it to be perfect just yet. The idle's probably gonna be a little up and down, but we'll see if we can't massage it out. Is that any input from the throttle?
Nope. Turn AC off with it.
All right, so far so good guys. There is a few things we need to check though. We need to check the wires, make sure that we don't have any arcs and sparks, because there's like 3 different kinds of wires on the car. So what we'll probably do is pull it into the garage, make it as dark as possible, and see if we can see any arcs and sparks coming from the wires. As you guys can see, the car's running a lot better. Sounds really good. It's gonna fluctuate a little bit. As most of you know, if you've had one of these Fox bodies before, you can't get them perfect. Once you put a cam in them and you start modifying stuff, it's just really hard to make them run perfect.
Let's go get him, Josh. Hey, hey, hey.
Okay, so Don mentioned that the car wants to grind in reverse and grind in first sometimes, and it's got a brand new clutch in it. So one of the first thoughts that we had was it's probably on the wrong hook. If it has an aftermarket quadrant, there are 2 to 3 different hook locations on that quadrant. And if you don't hook it in the right spot, if you don't hook it all the way at the end of the quadrant, you won't have enough throw. So we'll just leave it at that. We could talk more about that, but essentially we found out that's what it was, that it's in the middle location. So we're gonna move that to the end location if there's enough cable, and see if we can get him some more throw so that he's not riding the throwout bearing, because at the moment the clutch pedal is riding the throwout bearing. So we need to get that off so that he doesn't wear that out and get this thing able to shift again. Hopefully this fixes his clutch issue. All right, another win guys. So we just took the car down the road. It's idling great, but the car has no power. So this car has a skip in it, and we're gonna try to find it. It sounds to me like an injector's unplugged. You know, that's a common problem with these cars. What we're gonna do right now is test each individual header tube and see if we can isolate the problem. I know you probably can't hear me right now or see it, but right back here in the back, we have a plug wire that is completely melted to the header. So hopefully that's the problem. We're gonna go ahead, pop all this off, and see if we can fix it. I can still tell that the car does have a little bit of a skip left in it, but we just found out that these are 3-bar GT40 heads. That has more of the straight plug. Sometimes we have to ask for help. If you guys know of the best spark plug to run on the GT40 heads with the bigger headers, Let me know down below what it is that you run. We're just running into clearance issues. It's pushing the spark plug boot right up next to the header, so it's causing some problems. But anyway, guys, the car is pretty much done. As you can see, it's idling great. We drove it down the road, no idle issues whatsoever. So we are good to go. Come here, Don. This is a bad dude right here. I want you guys to check him out. Tell him who you work for, where you work.
I'm at Eternal Inc. in Troy. My name's Don Childrey. Instagram is Don_Childrey, CHILDREE_tattoo artist.
Hey, bad dude. I'm telling you, some of the tattoos this guy does is just amazing. I tell you what, I'll throw up a couple pictures of some tattoos for you guys and see what you think for yourself.
I'm too long-sighted for this short-term shit. Never follow fads, I'm busy making shit. We just wait for the flavor of the week to come back again. Rocky Road seems to be a theme, damn, it's back again.
But by all means, check him out. Anyway, guys, we're gonna wrap this video up. And as always, thanks for watching.